Hey kids, welcome back once again to Cooking with the Snack Master. I'm your Snack Master, Matt Rothstein. Today, we're doing, you can't believe what we're gonna do today. I can't believe it. You're gonna love this one, okay? We're doing my take on a classic Bolognese sauce. Now, Bolognese sauce, that refers to tomato sauce, right? We're all familiar with our tomato sauce. We all eat it with pasta. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to eat it with rotini. I'll explain the rotini in a minute. Now, the difference between a Bolognese sauce and a marinara sauce is a Bolognese sauce is a meat sauce. Marinara sauce does not have meat. Marinara is just your tomato product and your herbs and your vegetables and your seasonings. That's it. But Bolognese is a meat sauce. This is my take on it. This is the Snacky Bolognese. Some people do it a little bit differently, a little more classic. Some people will add in a little bit of veal. I don't have veal today, so that's okay. I've never used veal in my sauce. Some people cream the sauce a little bit. Some people use a little bit of wine. Me, I keep it real simple. This is a recipe I've always used. I catered a friend's wedding with this. And 100, 150 guests loved it to death. I catered an event for an organization I belong to. 100 people there loved it too. This is a very popular dish. A lot of my friends who are going to watch this, you guys have had this sauce before. This one's for you. So, what are we going to do here? What do we got? We got tomato product, we got meat, we got our spices and our seasonings, we have our vegetables, our aromatics actually is what this is, and we're going to get back to this and look in real close at what it is so that you can see what I'm cooking with and we can see what we're going to put into this pot. Then we'll get into the steps of doing it. We'll be right back. Alright kids, we're back. And we're going to take a look at a little bit of what we're going to put in our sauce today. We have here first 28 ounces, one big can of crushed tomatoes. We have here 16 ounces of unseasoned tomato sauce. You want to make sure it's unseasoned, okay? Then you have one whole can of tomato paste. We have about a half a pound of ground beef. We have here 3 Italian sausages, hot Italian sausage. If you like the sweet, go with the sweet. I like hot. This here, we have 3 of them that have been taken out of the sausage casing because most Bolognese recipes just call for ground meat. You don't want the big hunks of sauce in there. Alright, what else do we have? We have here our spices. We have fresh cracked black pepper. We have bay leaf. We have basil. We have oregano, we have parsley, we have onion powder, we have garlic powder, about a tablespoon or so of sugar. I know, don't let the sugar bother you. It sounds weird to put sugar in a sauce, but you know what? Tomato sauce is very acidic. A little bit of sugar, a little bit of sweetness helps to cut that up. Okay, you just want to cut that acid back. It's not going to taste sweet, I promise. You don't want a sweet tomato sauce. We also have here about a teaspoon or so of crushed red pepper. Again, that along with the sausage is going to give the sauce a little bit of a bite. That's how I like it. Then we have here, of course, the garlic. Lots of minced garlic. I would say here about 3 tablespoons of minced garlic. I mean, it's tomato sauce. It's Italian. I use a lot of garlic. That's how I like it. We have here a whole carrot. You got to wonder what this is for. Well, the reason why it's still whole is because you got the same problem as everything else I was talking about with the acid. You see, this right here is a trick that I learned. This whole put in the pot will absorb acid. Then you remove it from the pot when the sauce is done simmering, but you've taken out some of the acid. We also have here minced carrot. Very, very finely minced carrot, almost to the consistency of granulated sugar. Very finely minced. I know to you that might also sound weird, carrot in your sauce. But just like the whole carrot, just like the little bit of sugar, it adds a little bit of sweetness, it helps with the acid. And we're going to show you how I got it minced like that in just about a minute here. We have here 2 yellow onions, medium size, finely minced. You want everything finely minced because in a Bolognese sauce, the texture is important. You want it to be finely minced. You don't want big chunks in there. We have this little half the onion left that I'm going to show you how to mince, because if you missed the Chinese episode, first of all, you should go back and watch it. But if you haven't gone back and watched it and seen how I mince things in there, I'm going to show you how to mince that. It'll just take a minute. So when we come back, I'm going to show you how to mince up this carrot. I'm going to show you how to mince up this onion, and then we're going to get over to the stove and we're going to start cooking. So we'll be right back. All right, kids, we're back, and we're we're going to get into a little bit of this knife work here like I was talking about a minute ago. We got here a carrot, and we have here a half of an onion. We're going to dice these guys up, one thing at a time. First thing with the carrot is you're going to take a carrot, and if you notice, this carrot needs to be cut down because look, see how it rolls around? Rolling around things are dangerous when you have a knife in your hand because, as I'm always telling you, we like our fingers right where they are. So the first thing we have to do is square this carrot off. How do you square off a carrot? Well, what you're going to do is hold it very carefully with your fingers, come along one side here, and just slice straight down. See that? See that? Put that over there. Now look. See? Doesn't roll anymore. See that? We're going to take this guy, and just like how we made this one thin slice here, we're going to make a bunch more thin slices just like it so that we can finally mince this up. And again, put your hand in the claw position, right? Fingers in so that you keep your fingertips where they are, and you use your knuckles as a guide for how thick you want this to be, and you just go through it like that. Now we have a bunch of thin slices, right? Beautiful. See? Thin sliced carrot. Now what do we do with the thin sliced carrot to get it finely minced like that? We put a couple together, as many as you're comfortable with, and you're just going to, again, use your fingers on the side like a guide, and do this very, very thinly, and basically make strings. We have strings. Put those together, line them up nice, and then what you want to do with them is start getting tight with the knife. Get in here and just, you see that? Fine, fine carrot. But there's still a couple little big pieces there, and we want it finer than that anyway, because for this we want it, like I said, almost to the consistency of granulated sugar. So we're going to take this little pile and put the point of our knife down, hold it with our guide hand here, and then with the back end of the knife, we're just going to come across all this. Slice it off, slide it off very carefully, bring it back together, and you're in business. You take that and you add it to your carrots. Right there. And your little mise en place bowl all set. So now we're going to show you what to do with this onion. Alright? If you missed this before, it's not a big deal. It's a very simple thing. An onion is a very easy thing to cut up. First, you see this outside skin? See the wrinkly part? It's not nice. It's not snacky. We don't like it. It's leathery. So we peel it off. And that comes off very easily. Just like that. See? Gone. And what do we do with the rest of this guy here? Well, if we want to make them very, very fine, which is what we want here, it's what we already have, you're going to take your knife, guide hand again, very carefully, and you're going to make slices. This is what we call bagel slicing. And this is where you start. You just put your knife in sideways like that, run to the end. Don't go all the way through. If you can see that, you notice I have not gone all the way through. Alright, pull that out, go a little bit below it, do the same thing. And you can just work the knife back and forth. If you have a sharp enough knife, you just carefully work it back and forth. If you don't have a sharp enough knife, get one, because you gotta have a good knife in the kitchen. You just go through like this, one more slice that way. That's been bagel sliced in 4. If you look here, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 layers, right? So now what are we going to do? We're going to follow the lines of the onion. See how the onion has lines on it? All these guys here, we're going to follow those. So what we're going to do is just follow them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. Just go all the way through, like that with your lines. And then get your claw, use your guide hand, again using the back of the knife, letting the knife do the work, and that's it. Get rid of that little end piece. Like I've told you before, you're not losing anything there, and onions are cheap. And what do we have here? Finely minced onions. And once again, If you think this is not as minced as you want it to be, if you want a smaller texture, now that you have it like this, you can do the same trick that we just did with the carrot. You can just run across it like this, holding down the blade safely. Another trick, by the way, one thing, if you notice, when I scrape this back into shape, back into a pile, you might hear a little bit of scraping, but what you're hearing is the side of my blade. I'm not doing it like this and scraping. You know why? It dulls your knife blade. So there we go. That's how to dice an onion. That's how to dice a carrot. We're back in business with everything we need for our mise en place. When we come back here on Cooking with the Snack Master, we're going to move over to the stove. We're going to start getting this thing cooking. So we'll see you in a minute, kids. Alright gang, we're back here on Cooking with the Snack Master, and we've got a pot that's been heating up over here for a while. This is going to be our sauce pot, very important. First step when you're doing this sauce is to brown off the meats. So we want to get our meats going, and we're just going to brown them up together because they're all going to be together in the same sauce. So we got our hot Italian sausage. We hear the sizzle once again. Once again, we know we like this little. No, we got our ground beef. Put all that in together. Get our pot holder, safety first. We're just going to move this around, and we're going to let the meat brown. Now this is going to do two things. First of all, this is the foundation of the flavor, because like I said, Bolognese is a meat sauce, and you've got to have the meat in there. Another thing that's going to happen is you see when this meat is browned, when it's done, we're going to take it back out of the pot, and we're going to have a little bit of the fat from the meat in there, and that fat is the foundation of flavor that we're going to have in the bottom of the pot to saute our vegetables. Want to make sure to break up any pieces of sausage if you see them, because again, you want this meat to all be pretty much the same ground meat consistency. You're not looking for big chunks of sausage. And of course it smells fantastic. I want to add a little bit of salt to it because again we're going to season at many levels like we always do, because you have to season it and season it and season it again if you want it to be good. Alright, let's give it a look here. Yeah, now we're really getting somewhere. The meat is brown. And it's rendering off fat, which is exactly what we want. So yeah, we're ready for our next step. We'll take our bowl here and our slotted spoon, because again we want to keep that grease. You want to try to get all of this meat out, because whatever meat you leave is going to continue to cook, and it'll actually start to burn while you're trying to cook your vegetables, and then you'll have something burnt in your pot, and that's not snacky. There. Alright, that's good. Whatever's left in there isn't coming out without a cheesecloth. And we're not getting a cheesecloth right now. So what are we doing now? We got to add some more flavor to this fat. We got to build our fat here. So we need olive oil. Olive oil is an absolutely necessary flavor in tomato sauce, Italian tomato sauce. We also have about a quarter of a stick of butter. Why? Because butter's great in everything, that's why. So we built a fat. We're going to let that butter melt. Everything's going to come back up to temperature. And that might look to you, my friends, like a lot of fat in the pot. But like I've told you many times, I'm the snack master. I'm not cooking health food, kids. This right here is flavor. This is going to go in with all that sauce, with all that tomato product, and it's going to be fantastic. Trust me, this is what you want. Particularly that olive oil. You need the olive oil. So, we got our butter melted. We're ready to go with that. Time to add in our onions. Hear the sizzle? You know you're good because you got the sizzle. Let those onions start to do their thing on their own for a minute there. Give them about a minute or two when you can start to smell them. The next thing you will add is the carrot. Meantime, I'm also adding a little bit of salt. Once again, seasoning at every level. You know, another reason for adding in that butter and that olive oil, you want to mix the two of them up when you're doing your fat there, is because you see when you use butter for flavor in a pot, butter's great. Butter has the flavor that we always want, but butter has a low smoke point. It's going to start to burn pretty quick. You're going to start to get a flavor that's unpleasant. The olive oil has a much higher smoking point, and so what the olive oil does, it increases the smoke point so that you have the flavor and you have the fat, and nothing starts to burn up on you and go rancid, because that's what happens when you break down the smoke point of a fat, is it starts to go bad on you. And I smell those onions. They smell fantastic. Time to get the carrots in there. Those are wonderful. Stir that in. When you add something to the pot, you always want to add a little bit more salt, because you see the carrots don't have any salt in them. So you got to get that in there now too. Another thing is, I know I showed you before in my fancy new little mise en place cups, I showed you that I had some fresh cracked black pepper, and I do, but I want to add a little bit more to this pot right now while I season these vegetables. Just a little bit there. Stir that in. We're going to let these vegetables cook for a while. We want to get a little bit of color on them. We want them not full caramelized, because true caramelized onions take like an hour. We're not going to do that here. But we do want to develop a little bit of color, because color equals flavor. So we're going to let these get a little bit of color on them. That's going to take a little bit of time. So we're going to take another break. And when we come back, we're going to have brown vegetables, and we're going to get to our next step. So we'll see you in a minute. Alright, we're back here on Cooking with the Snack Master, and if you can take a look in this pot here, you can see that there's a very drastic difference in color from when we went away to break. This is the color we're looking for. See how there's some nice light brown going on? That equals fantastic flavor. Once we get a brown like that, things are going to start to happen a lot faster to put this sauce together. Now it's time to add in the garlic. We didn't add that in earlier because garlic, if it gets overcooked, will get bitter. We want it to be sweet, not bitter. So we'll stir that in, and that's going to go for just about a minute. That's not going to take long at all. Once we get that garlic in there and get it to join the party, the next step is going to be to start adding in the tomato product. I smell the garlic, onions and garlic cooking together. Nothing. I don't know if there's a better smell on the earth. I don't know if there's anything more fantastic than that. So it smells exactly how I want it to smell. So now it's time to add in our tomato paste. Why do we add in the tomato paste first? Tomato paste is structure. This adds thickness to the sauce. So when you're doing something like that, you want to add it in before you add in the other ingredients, so that it has a chance to incorporate into this pot here, into these vegetables. Stir it in, get it fully incorporated. You see already how that color just took over. I have that nice deep rich red from the tomato paste. You want that color. It looks beautiful. That richness reminds you that you're eating something rich and beautiful and luscious, that rich color. And once that's in there like that, next we add in the unseasoned, unsalted tomato sauce. Now again, sauce out of a can. When I say tomato sauce, I'm not talking about, you know, like a jar of sauce, this type that you would eat on your pasta if you weren't doing your own cooking. I'm not referring to that. This is basically just like a very smooth tomato product, but they call it sauce on the label. It's not flavored, it's not seasoned, because seasoning and flavoring you're going to do yourself. You see how it's coming together? You see how the paste is incorporating into the sauce and the sauce into the paste? Now you have that smooth, rich texture that I'm sure you can see right there. That looks beautiful. So Now that that's incorporated, we add in our crushed tomatoes. And that is the largest amount of tomato product we have. It adds more rich color, as you can see. It has a lot to do with the texture of the sauce. And we incorporate that. Now this right here, by the way, if you just started these vegetables in butter and olive oil and you never added in that meat to start with, if you took this like this and started to add in the seasonings that we're about to add in a second, you'd have a marinara sauce. You don't have to add the meat to it and make a bolognese. You could skip that step, and then you have marinara. But I like meat in my sauce. And now we got to season again. Why? Because like I said, we added in new ingredients. And the new ingredients we added, they didn't have any salt in them. So we need to get some. And now once we've done this, we're going to lower the heat a little bit because that heat was jacked up before when we were cooking. And this smells fantastic. Now we're ready for our flavorings and our herbs. We have here our parsley, our oregano, our cracked black pepper, our little pinch of sugar, our crushed red pepper, our bay leaves, almost forgot one there, tried to get away from me, our onion powder, our basil, gotta have the basil, our garlic powder, there it is, doesn't want to cooperate, but we got it. And then get all those in, stir those and incorporate them. Oh, see, look at that. You can see it. You can see the way the herbs and the little pieces of garlic and the tiny, tiny little pieces of minced onion and everything, you can see how that looks in there. It looks like tomato sauce. And like I said, at that point, that would be a rich, hearty marinara. But we're about to change all that because we have our meat. It's time to bring the meat back to the party. Oh, look at that. Oh, that is fantastic. We'll stir that in. It's going to be very thick. Thick is the consistency that you want. It's supposed to be thick. Once we get that in there, get that fully incorporated. And that's about it, gang. That's the whole shebang. So what you want to do now is let it come back up to a simmer. And once it comes up to a simmer, you're going to leave it at that temperature. You're going to simmer this for about 2 hours at least. If you can give it 3 or 4, even better. And once it's simmered for all that time, you're going to keep coming back to it. You're not going to leave it. You have to keep stirring this so the sauce doesn't stick to the pot. Very important. You're going to come stir this every probably 15 to 20 minutes. But while you're simmering, you're going to stir. It's going to come together. All those flavors are going to marry. After it's simmered for 2 hours, you're going to serve this with pasta. I'm going to make rotini. I'm not making it from scratch. I don't make my own pastas from scratch. I've done it before. For me personally, I have found that the taste difference isn't so dramatic that I need to do it. But I'm going to boil some rotini. The important thing about pasta isn't whether or not you made it fresh. The important thing is that you cook it properly. You cook it al dente, which means to the tooth. It still has to have a little bit of a bite to it. You don't want it to be mush. We're going to show you that in just a minute. We're going to serve this with properly cooked pasta and this sauce. The reason we use the rotini is because the rotini takes up all this meat in the ridges. It takes up all the sauce and holds it in there. If you use a flat pasta, if you use a linguine, if you use a spaghetti, it'll still taste good, but it's not going to capture all of the meat, capture all the sauce in those ridges and give you the flavor in every bite. That's why we use rotini. So we're going to let this simmer, and we're going to come back to you, and we're going to be ready to eat. So we'll see you in just a few minutes here on Cooking with the Snack Master. We're back. It's been 3 hours. The sauce has been simmering. We got this shot here because now we're going into the pasta. What I'm going to do now is the pasta's been cooking. The pasta's been cooking and it's all ready to go. You want to use a gallon of water for a pound of pasta. You have to have enough water for the pasta to do its thing. I'm showing you this for a very specific reason. That reason is, what do we do with pasta once it's done? Strain off the water and drizzle it with olive oil and give it a toss. Why do we hit it with oil? Because we don't want it to stick. That's important. So this pasta is ready to go. The sauce tastes unbelievable. So we're going to be back in just a minute. We're going to plate things up, have a bite, and wrap things up. So stick around, gang. Okay, we're back, kids. It's time to plate up. Time to get ready to eat some of this. I can't wait. I know somebody else who can't wait. Hey, Michael, come here, buddy. Hey. You ready to eat? Tell the people.
I'm ready to eat.
All right, take a look at this sauce here. What do you think?
That looks good.
Oh, look at that,
Oh,
huh?
yeah.
Nice, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's get us something to eat then, all right? We'll take some of this pasta. We'll put it on the plate.
Yeah.
It's a big portion. I'm the snack master. What do you expect? So let's take this over here. Come over, get some sauce. Oh. Oh. Oh, I love this. I've already had requests from friends who know I'm cooking this today who want me to bring them some. I will do so gladly. Food should be shared. So let's check that out. Get a fork. Got the bread on the plate. Where I come from, we serve pasta and sauce with bread. Let's give this a shot here. You see, with the rotini, the meat, the sauce, everything sticks to the ridges of the pasta. Mm. Oh. Oh my God. And in New York, we take the bread, we dip that in the sauce. Mm. We have a bite. Mm. That's fantastic. This is a favorite of mine. This is something you kids are going to enjoy. Don't miss your opportunity to make this one. You watched the show, please cook the recipe. And please don't forget to check us out. We have a few new things going on the internet. You can check us out. You can follow me at Twitter at @the1snackmaster, #1, @the1snackmaster at Twitter. You can find me there. You can also check out our blog at cookingwiththesnackmaster.tumblr, TUMBLR.com, cookingwiththesnackmaster.tumblr.com. I have recipes up there, links to all the videos, little info about me. And so, my friends, that right there is pasta bolognese. You want this. It's fantastic. Thanks for watching. Please come back and check us out next time. We'll see you next time on Cooking with the Snack Master.
The rising stream, the silhouette